Hey, welcome to the No Drinks in the Booth podcast, back with another classic episode 13. Shout out to everyone that's watching on YouTube. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and also everyone listening on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. As always, please leave us a 5-star review. It pushes us higher and we like to see what you say about us. As always, in the booth with me, we're missing the Midlands finest, Pavan Saki, today. He is off founding the B Young's #1 fan club. But as always, I do have Chris Watson, coffee connoisseur, and crab scratching my way through life and holding it all together, myself, Wade Kadir. I normally say Harry's everyone, but Chris, how are you?
This is so strange. This is so weird.
I know.
It's just two of us now. It feels a bit lonely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm good. What is Pav actually doing? What is he actually doing? Like,
I think he's working, but I don't think he did actually say. He just said he couldn't make it.
Last time we spoke to him, I think he put in the chat he was kind of organising booking Adele for like, an event or something. No joke.
Oh,
like that's
yes.
that's not actually a joke, by the way. Like he actually was doing that.
He was trying to get a top 5 charting singer for an event, and I'm like high caliber. Yeah, trying to get Adele, which is mental.
Which is literally crazy.
And he's most probably sitting there today, just like rendering video, like random video, like doing not much.
Yeah, all rendering. I feel like Pav spends like half his life just sat in front of his computer, like watching videos render and load. Just, I don't know.
That and watching that and Dan the covered wagon eating curry and getting some beers in for Aston Villa.
I think Pav's 2 favourite things. I think number 1, music, and then Covered Wagon, the local pub, which serves amazing. I've actually been there in Birmingham. It's like serves the most amazing food. Covered Wagon, and then number 3, maybe like a joint second actually, Aston Villa. I wonder. We should do a new game, like a new drinking game. Like, how many times does he say "up the Villa" on the podcast? I think he said it like, okay, maybe not recently, but he's definitely said it quite a few times.
We should do a game where how many times does Pav swear?
Oh my God. Yeah, that's a better game, to be fair. Up the Villa, like every now and again, but yeah, that every time he swears. Yeah,
honestly, like lucky we're an explicit podcast. If kids listen, they'd like fall over. Their parents are like, what is this?
Listen, at some point we're going to have to get that YouTube monetization in, and we're going to have a word with him. Like we want that YouTube money, and we can't be having swearing,
That is very, very true. You've got to keep it PG in terms of the language.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll work that out when we come to it. We'll work that out.
Yeah. Would you like to know what I've been up to, Chris?
Sorry. Wade, what have you been up to? Tell me about your life. Tell me about your life.
Yeah, I will. So I've been going back to the gym, like you know. I've been going trying to do 5 times a week because.
Oh, you haven't.
No, honestly.
Oh my God.
I don't mean like I train my arms or something 5 times. I do cardio 5 times a week minimum.
Okay.
But then I obviously train different parts. But I'm not trying to get. It's not like I'm going to be ripped, is it? Like I'm 5'5". Like
that's what it sounds like.
I'm trying to lose that like coronavirus lockdown. I haven't worked for 7 months. Like I've just been eating Doritos weight.
Honestly, full disclosure right now, I have actually emailed my gym to try and like end my membership. I'm just not going, to be honest. In my defense, I have bought a bike, which is quite funny.
True.
Like the idea of me in like Lycra. I'm basically getting ripped. I think you actually ripped me as well, Wade. Everyone I know is just ripping me for just picturing me
for the Lycra.
For the Lycra, which I actually haven't bought. I did buy a bike, but I didn't buy a Lycra. That's just a step too far.
I could imagine you looking like, have you seen The Incredibles?
Yes.
Frozone, but the white one. But if he was white, if Frozone was white, the Lycra, the slick back sort of like helmet thing.
For God's sake. Do you know what the scary thing is? The scary thing is you're actually right. That's the scary thing. But yeah, I mean, that's my defense. Like I have bought a bike, but full disclosure, I have emailed my gym asking, I haven't actually been for like 2 months. Can you like refund my membership? I think there's like a small print, but like, can you refund me, please? DJ Live 2020. Every little helps.
It's very true. It's very true. I haven't had as much to do because the NBA season is over. Normally it'd just be starting, but it's over.
Oh God! Hold on a second. Hold on. Who are you going to talk about NBA with this podcast? Because normally you talk about NBA with Pav. I mean,
yeah, but I've realised Pav has got into it just because the people that own Aston Villa own a small percentage of the Milwaukee Bucks. Wow. So I don't think he's really like. I don't think he's like jersey deep. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Shout out to Golden State Warriors coming back strong. Yeah. But free agency starts. So there's loads of like. There's always drama in free agency. It's great. It's like soap opera. I love it. But other than that, there's not much for me to do. I'm working on a series of mixes.
Well, you put out that, was it the Perp tape? You put out that?
Yes. I put that.
Was it a couple months ago, was it, or something?
I think it was like April.
Oh, yeah, quite.
April or May.
We were definitely in like, the thick of it in terms of like lockdown. It was like pretty like intense.
Yeah, that did pretty well. I enjoyed doing the Perp tape thing. I was going to continue on the Perp tape, and then I actually had one coming out called the Run tape, which was just for running. And I did 3 of them and didn't put them out, forgot to do it. So I just left them by the side. And they were sort of like house and dance music, because obviously that's quite a good running soundtrack. It's repetitive and steady. And I didn't do it, and I'll sort of use them for other things.
Right, okay.
Basically, a few venues asked for mixes. I sent them. But yeah, so I'm working on a new thing. It's not. It has got a name, but I'm not going to tell you the name yet because I'm not sure. I'm going to stick with it.
Work in progress.
Yeah, the aesthetic of it is really good, though. I really like it. Like the mixes they're going to look really good and hopefully sound good as well. So.
Nice.
Who knows? Other than that, just working towards Red Bull Freestyle 2022.
Yes. Listen, you don't joke about it, Wade. Like, it's going to happen. Like, it's gonna happen. I told you, I texted you earlier this week, and I was like, I want to be just chilling at the side. I want to be drinking like Red Bull out of like a red cup,
Red Bull, red cup.
Red Bull, red cup, yeah. Oh no, but if it's Red Bull, it'll be like, I feel like everything I've been to that's like, kind of associated Red Bull. They always have those Red Bull cups, the blue and white ones.
They do.
Like the Red Bull cups. And I know it sounds like I'm making a big deal out of cups, but literally, even in like bars and clubs as well, whenever there's like a Red Bull sponsored event, it's always those blue and white Red Bull cups.
To mimic the can.
To mimic the can. I don't know. I'm a sucker for like good branding. But that's what I want to be doing. I want to be at the side of Red Bull 3 style, drinking out one of those cups. Just vibing, mate. Can we just make it happen? I know obviously you want to do really,
I'd like to do
really
well.
Great. Yeah, I know obviously I'm sure you want to do well, Wade, but I'm sorry. But I'm trying to like plan for 2021 and that needs to happen. That needs to happen.
I love the fact you're like, I want to be there vibing. Not I want to be there watching you maybe win it or win regional. Like I want to be there like, rubbing shoulders with some of like the other, just chatting like cool stuff, cool music, cool DJ stuff. No, I don't want to support my friend. Fine.
I'll do that as well. But, like, you've got to get involved in the scene, there'll be a lot of exciting people there,
True.
The energy. It's going to be great. Look, I'm going to have to be your like official sort of photographer, videographer for that day as well. Like, obviously you have to like, we have to like put together like an after movie, like you sort of like walking up to the venue in like slow motion with like your bag over your shoulder. Come on, that needs to happen, right?
Oh, it definitely needs to happen, and that would look great. Can you imagine if I get knocked out in like the first heat or first round? That will be awful. The after movie for my failure. Side note, in away from Red Bull Freestyle, which in all seriousness, I do want to have a go at some point next year or the year after, depending on how things turn out. The Serato Anniversary Edition Control Vinyl and Coffee Table Book. You've seen it because I sent it to you.
I've seen it.
We both use Serato. So does Pav, but Pav's not here, unfortunately. But if anyone from Serato, New Zealand office, London office, wants to send us that package, I will forever be in your debt because I really want that Control Vinyl, but I do not have £100 at the moment. So I do, but I can't afford to spend it on Control Vinyl. I need to eat.
But just to be clear, it's not the white Control Vinyl. That's right?
It's silver.
It's silver. So, because obviously, for anyone who doesn't know, Serato, they put out white Control Vinyl. and they only give it to select people, like select DJs, select artists, whatever.
Friends and family, basically. I think it is.
And yeah, you can't buy it. But this one is like close. Even this one, like, I'm not saying it's not cool. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I want.
Oh no, it's
package. Cool. It's cool, but it's still not quite the white one. I feel like that's like a new level of cool. The white one.
Look, I think I will speak for behalf of the No Drinks in the Booth podcast. Serato, if you could reach out to us and just send us white control vinyl, we'd be really thankful. We'd, tag you in everything, post more stuff. Yeah, we could do whatever you need. Social media management, anything.
Serato, if you include a T-shirt in your package you send to us, then I will wear it. I promise you, every single podcast. If you get me like one of those Serato T-shirts, I'll wear it.
I'd like a hoodie.
We'll shout. You want a hoodie? Oh yeah, actually hoodie cooler. Yeah. I want a hoodie, and we'll shout you out at the start of every. Yeah, it's getting cold, and we'll shout you out at the start of every podcast as well. Look, I think we're selling it, Wade. I think we're giving a good picture.
Oh, we're trying very hard. Bear in mind, we're missing one member. We're doing pretty good trying to get Serato to give us anything, really. I'll take anything you got. Even if it's vinyl you couldn't sell, I'll take it these days.
Actually, a job. Why don't you give us a job?
Yeah, because we actually need them.
Yeah.
We'd like the T-shirt and hoodie, but if you could give us a job, that'd be, really beneficial for my life.
Oh, I can't believe we're actually saying this. This is just crazy. Big shout out to the government.
Don't get me started on that. We will talk about it briefly when we do the news, which I think we should go to now, Chris.
Yeah, let's go for the news.
Fantastic. Okay, there's three headlines really today. And we're going to start with, we've talked about Serato. Something that includes Serato is Pioneer DJ. They've released their brand new S11, which is the follow-up to the very, very successful and popular S9 Battle Mixer, the S11 Battle Mixer. They do a special edition one as well that's based off, I think, the DJM 909. It's got like the faceplate of it. It's really cool looking. For anyone that don't know, obviously Pioneer make DJ equipment, but you all know that. And the S11 will be their flagship battle mixer to compete with Reign's 70. Is it 72?
Yes, 72.
The Reign range of battle mixers. It's packed full of features. So many features that we won't feature them all on the podcast because we'll be here all day. But if you do want like a more in-depth look, I will suggest Mojax from DJ City, the tips and tricks video on YouTube. I watched it. It's about 30 minutes long. And that is literally the first look at it. And when you see how many features are on it, it will blow your mind. Now, Chris, me and you spoke about some of the features off the podcast. Do you think there might be a bit of overkill with the features, bearing in mind everything they've got? Should I list a few of them? That might help people. So they've got a brand new touch screen, which will feature your waveforms in your library, and you can use it for effects. They've got, I think it's called Simple Echo, which is a really cool feature. They've got all the 8 pads with 4 features each, which in turn have 4 features each. You can stack them on top of each other. They've got the enhanced Magvel crossfader. They've got scratch banks. They've got manipulation of deck 3 and 4. Look, there is so much. I'm not going to carry on, but it is, when I mean jam-packed, so Pioneer have literally gone, take that. This will see you through for the next 10 years, most probably. Do you think maybe it's a bit of overkill, some of the features?
Yeah, I mean, the one feature that obviously everybody wanted solved, including ourselves from the S9, is where you can, on either side, you have like your sample banks and your cue points on either side.
Sorry, yeah.
So that was like the one, and then obviously that they weren't independent from each other. So you either have like, sample banks loaded up, cue points loaded up on either side. Oh, by the way, just side note, this is like the most technical podcast so far, by the way. Have you noticed how technical we're getting? This is like, this is definitely, we're getting technical right now. Technical. Don't worry, people, listen, there's music news coming.
Oh yeah, we get a lot simpler, don't we?
Yeah. But let's get nerdy. Let's get nerdy for a bit. So, and they've now like, obviously it's split up now. So like one side you can have like hot cues, the other side you can have like sampler and whatever, and more features, which I'm sure you're going to go into. So they've solved that. Like, but that's kind of, from my perspective, like that's what I think most people expected them to fix. That was like the only real thing you expected them to kind of sort out. But they just kind of hit it with like so much. Like there's so much going on with this mixer. I think until I actually get my hands on one, I don't know if I can say it's overkill or not. But by the sounds of things, I'm sure you're about to read some out. It does sound like it's gonna kind of, it's a bit like overwhelming. Like there's just so much. Maybe like, I don't see how you're going to be able to use all these features in say like a 30-minute routine. I don't see how you're going to use them all.
Well, look, so I briefly spoke about the stacking on the touchpads. And I'll elaborate on that. So the stacking of the touchpad, which is one of the standout features, I would say. Obviously, everyone's got their own opinion on standout features because this mixer has so many. My opinion on if it has overkill, no. I think what they've done is future-proofed it. They've put enough into it to see it through because there's only so much you can do with the technology at the moment. And in the future, obviously, you can't make stuff if it don't exist yet. So I think they've future-proofed it. I really like the touch screen. I really like the fact that you can see the waveforms and control your library, so you can look through the songs and arrange them however you want to see them. And the effect part on the touchscreen, I'm not too crazy on that until I try it, which I've not. The stacking of the pads. So to break it down, you normally have hot cue, roll, sampler, slicer. Might be the other way around, but they're the 4 features for the pads. Now, what you can do besides having channel 1 and 2 with their own pads, so hot cue on 1 and sampler on 2 now, you can stack. So you could put on channel 1, you could have hot cue on the first top 4, sampler on the bottom top 4, roll on the top 4, slicer on the bottom top 4, and mix and match as you choose. So if you're someone that uses samples quite a lot, you could have the sampler at the bottom and the cue point at the top to do a little routine with some samples in, like The features are so stacked, I think it's been future-proofed. Would we like to try it? I think we would. So
definitely.
I know we've been shouting at Serato, but Pioneer, get out your boys. We really need this mixer, and we can't afford it because we're broke DJs.
Yeah, I like how we don't even try to hide it anymore. Like we're not even like pretending that we're not, like, after this year. No, fully broke. I think we should move on from the Pioneer S11, which is a fantastic piece of kit, purely because it's stacked with so many features. I would suggest that anyone that's more interested, specifically DJs that obviously listen to the podcast, check out Mojax from DJ City. Big up Mojax. Tips and tricks video. He lays out the core of what you sort of need to know, because we would be here for the whole podcast talking about the features. They're fantastic. If I can just jump in real quick, like something as well.
No, you can't.
Oh, please, Wade, please. Look, it's only me this week. Like,
it is. I would like to point out, it's really weird it just being me and you, because I'm used to having to like wrangle you and Pav to be quiet. Now I'm a bit like, this is a bit too easy, this.
Yeah.
Go on, Chris.
I was just going to say, weirdly and like refreshingly, I've had, is that a word, refreshingly? Anyway, yes. It was quite refreshing this week, having a couple of people, actually 2 people, like DM me asking what controller should I get if I want to start DJing. And I was like, wow, like that's just such a refreshing thing to hear. The fact that people are like thinking about starting to DJ even now with everything that's going on, in the country and around the world. But yeah, for anyone who's like thinking about starting DJing, before you buy one of your smaller controllers, like the Pioneer DJ 400 or something like that, then have a look at this S11, because then you can really see what like a top flight best you can buy kind of piece of equipment can do, and then what your one can do. And just have it in your mind, because then when you do eventually go to like the more advanced equipment, even if it's just a hobby, you can still, I know it's very expensive equipment, but you should look to get the best equipment, like you can still use it as a hobbyist. Check it out, because like you can see how you can kind of emulate some of the features on your kind of less expensive gear. You can kind of emulate it, and it's just good to be aware. I mean, this is coming from someone who like loves like music gear, DJ gear, and equipment and stuff. But I think it's definitely a valid point. You should look at what's out there.
I agree.
I
agree. And this this will be Pioneer is standalone flagship battle mixer now. This is like, this is what they're pushing for. Yeah. Obviously, I can completely understand if a battle mixer is not your thing, because some people it's not. They prefer 900s, Nexuses, 2000s. Oh, Pioneer's got a fantastic range of DJ equipment. It is the industry standard in, I think, both of our opinion, and Pav would agree, even though he's not here, for clubs. I've actually got Pioneer S9 and Pioneer PLX 1000 turntables. So, full Pioneered out. And I know you've got all Pioneer gear as well, Chris. So
yeah. I mean, admittedly, I did actually move on my S9 to get a 900 Nexus. But if you're the right kind of DJ, maybe more of like a turntablist, or just someone, to be honest, if you just use Serato, then I think you have to get the S11 or the S9, either or. They're both really good pieces of equipment. I just opted because for me personally, when I'm just like mixing like just vinyl and stuff, like I kind of missed the Nexus feel, because that's what I'm used to playing on in clubs and stuff like that. So it just kind of felt like better suited to me. But definitely if you're kind of scratching turntablists or just like a really like avid Serato user, the S9 and the S11 are the ones for you. Definitely.
Yeah. And especially since I know the S11 is what we're talking about, and it is a fantastic mixer. At the moment, if you're a new DJ and you do want to up your equipment game, getting an S9 is not a bad idea. You can get them pretty cheap, because a lot of people are trying to sell their S9 to get an S11. And it will bring you into that world, because the S11 could be quite daunting. Maybe it's packed full of, it's daunting for experienced DJs. So it would be even more daunting for a newer DJ. So maybe get the S9 and then move into the S11 later down the line, because I've got a feeling it's going to be around for quite a long time, because it's fully packed full of features. Okay, let's move on. Some music news. DJ EZ, one of our favourites, garage legend, technical pioneer. He announced his new record label called Nuvolve Music. I'm going to read you a couple of the releases that are happening this week. So it's releases from Todd Edwards, Club Asylum, Proper Things, which is Eddie Craig from the Wild Boys, featuring Sweet Female Attitude and Eddie Craig, Fabian Dubs, MPH, and more. So I'm assuming it will be pioneering garage and bassline, like the whole garage sound and everything it encompasses. Thoughts on EZ launching a record label?
I'm surprised he's not done it before, to be honest. It's like super exciting. A really good friend of mine and really good garage and DJ and producer, Ollie Weeks. I sent it to him straight away. I was like, it was almost to say like, this is now, big shouts to all the labels out there. But like when EZ puts out a garage label, like, and you're a garage producer, I mean, where do you want your music to go? He's one of like the most recognizable names in garage, and he's like known outside of garage, especially for his like technical ability and all the various radio residencies he's had. Super exciting. And but that was the first thing when I saw it. I was like, wow, like I knew he didn't have a label, but I was like, wow, like as if he's only just now kind of started a label, because a lot of DJs and producers start labels a lot earlier than he has in his time, with a lot less clout and a lot less experience and all the rest of it. So it's nothing but exciting, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a very good look. I'm surprised he hasn't done it sooner. I think it helps having someone with the ear for garage, like someone like DJ EZ, who's been a tastemaker for many years, a pioneer in the scene. Obviously, a technical expert. We can all agree on that. I think it's a really good move for garage, because garage every year sort of has this. It comes back. It has this like revival, and people are like, this is the year garage is coming back. I don't necessarily think it matters whether it comes back like huge mainstream. It's whether it comes back with quality, and I expect nothing less than high quality from this label, which is basically what the scene needs. Instead of just pumping out tune after tune, it's going to pump out quality tune after tune.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you want to make a point? Sorry,
I was just going to say, just before we move on, and I think as well, something that I think Eze could bring to the table is that he has enough of a reputation where he could kind of get kind of backing from like major labels and other like, you know, huge kind of tastemakers, whether that's brands or people, to really like push the music out, as opposed to lots of small like independent garage labels that put out great music but are just kind of people within the scene. You know, Eze has got, you know, lots of connections, so this could actually push forward garage a lot more than perhaps what it has done, which has only really, the garage has only really been championed by artists that are already doing things in a major way, like AJ Tracey, for example. He's done a few garage tracks, you know, and they've done crazy numbers, but just more consistently kind of putting out kind of small, like actual garage producers and just garage artists. He has like the major ties that hopefully could push the stuff forward. So yeah, it's again, exciting stuff. It's
really exciting, especially during this such crazy time. Okay, let's move on. Last headline of this week. Headie One. His album Edna went number 1 in the album charts, and Ain't It Different with Stormzy and AJ Tracey hit number 2 in the singles charts. Congrats to Headie One going number 1 for the album. I think they're doing a massive push to try and get him this week to number 1 in the singles charts, but I looked yesterday and it fell to number 8. So hopefully they can push up. I don't know. There's some releases this week which might hold him back, but big congrats on a number 1 album. Well deserved. Have you listened to the album, Chris? Have you thoughts about the album? Thoughts about the number 1?
You know what? In complete honesty, I haven't listened to the album, but obviously I have been listening to his music for a long time, to be fair. When he first kind of came out with Golden Boot, and obviously then like Know Better, not too long after that, I don't think. And I was actually watching some videos on him earlier today, actually. And he's like Young Ads out of D Block Europe, where he used to actually like freestyle over like hip hop beats and stuff. And then now he's doing like the drill thing. And obviously Headie One has now become, I mean, he's just done a track with Drake. Like he's kind of like a essential, you can't talk about UK drill without talking about Headie One. So it's actually, having said what I've just said, I feel bad I haven't listened to the album in full yet. Because he's hard to ignore. You can't ignore what he's done. So I will check it out. But yeah, Ain't Indifferent as well. I didn't like the track at first, to be honest, but it's grown on me. Whether it's kind of like single material, I don't know. It's difficult to get a track like that, even now, with everything that's happened with UK music over the last 2 or 3 years. It's difficult, I think, to get a track like that to the top of the charts. You had like Funky Friday, which did it, but even that was a little bit more accessible than this track, I think. Sorry, Wade, go on.
I don't know. I disagree with the fact that I think it's got the mainstream name of Stormzy and AJ Tracey to a degree.
True.
It's got 2 recognisable samples. One from Bump and Grind, M Dubs, and one from what is it? Red Hot Chili Peppers. But I think they sampled it. So there's 2 recognisable samples. So, you know, it peaked at number 2. I hope it gets to number 1. I'm not holding a lot of weight because I think he's up against like some really big names this week, but I hope it does because it is well deserved. And the album, I think, is actually more diverse in terms of the style than what I thought it'd be. So it's a really good listen. It's a really good album. There's some really good collaborations. Obviously, the Drake one everyone knows, but Young T and Bugsy and all that type of stuff. Really good. Congrats on a number 1 album. Nice. It's a shame it couldn't just have the number 1 single as well. Number 1 album and single would have been a good look. But there's no shame in coming number 2 in the singles charts. Trust me, no. I ain't even got a single. So that basically sums up the news this week. It's a bit slow, I ain't gonna lie. Obviously, Pioneer with the launching their S11, DJ EZ launching the record label New Evolve Music, and Headie One getting a number 1 album with Edna. Yeah, I think it's because, you know, everything that's going on and coronavirus, and especially over here in the UK, our government are useless. You know, we can talk about it quickly though. Did you see they, even though we're a music podcast, it don't hurt because obviously that's what's dominating everything.
Yeah.
Can't really avoid it, can you?
Hard to ignore it, yeah.
It is hard to ignore, and it's partially the reason the news is so slow.
Yeah,
because that's what's fair. Did you see the government voted, the Conservative Party voted against giving kids free school meals during the holidays up until Easter 2021?
Yeah.
Wow.
They're not doing things to help their image, are they?
Look, I'm not political. Like, I don't actually support a particular party. I never have been. And I don't care that it's Conservatives that have done it. Don't care if it's Labour that's done it, really, or anyone in between. How can you deny kids free meals during a pandemic, during the school holiday? Like, how can you do that? You're basically letting kids starve. That's the lowest of the low to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's really not going well for them at the minute, and the government, in my opinion, again, I'm kind of similar to you. I'm not like overly political. I do get involved in the politics when it's like an election or near it, like, but I'm genuinely not unless it's an election. But my opinion of the government, at least regarding COVID and everything that they've kind of done this year, is that in March, when they announced like the lockdown and everything, I know there was a little bit of doubt because they were like 2 weeks late potentially, so they should have locked down 2 weeks earlier. That's really still up for debate. But I was so impressed. I was actually so impressed with everything they were saying and what they were doing. And I think I've said this already on the podcast in a weird way, and I never thought I'd be the type of person that would be like this, but I actually felt like patriotic. I was like, wow, I love this. Like, our country like taking action and, clamping down on it. And unfortunately, since they put out when it was stay at home to stay alert, I know I've said this before on the podcast. I think from that moment for me, this year, when they made that announcement and changed the policies regarding COVID, they've kind of gone downhill from there, in my opinion, in my point of view. So yeah, and then things like this school meal thing. I mean, why would you? And then obviously the advert, was it last week or the week before, where they said you can retrain in cyber and this kind of thing. They're not helping themselves. Like, just in terms
Dominic
of their publicity.
Cummings.
Yeah. Like, in this country, like, the government has the resources to like look after their public image and how people like perceive them, and like they're making these mistakes, and I think we can say they're mistakes because the backlash is, if you just one look on Twitter, one look in the news, you can see the kind of the backlash of these things they're doing. So yeah.
Well, even for our industry, like stuff like the 10 p.m. curfew, but not backing it up with science, forgetting about the arts. And then this could have been news. I didn't put it in because I weren't sure if we talk about it, but how they gave I think it's the Arts Cultural Recovery Fund, or the Cultural Recovery Fund for the Arts. It's got some fancy name, which is basically where they gave money out. I think it was 1.57 billion divided up to establishments and venues, theatres, music venues, galleries, to help them through COVID. And not that I've got anything against Resident Advisor. They're a website for people that don't know that obviously do tickets for the club events and reviews and stuff like that and articles. They got £750,000, but venues like Egg, the Pickle Factory, Oval Space, 338 in London didn't get anything. They didn't meet the criteria, but a website that sells the tickets for them for their events did. Ministry of Sound equally did get a payout, I think, of just short of 1 million, which is well deserved for Ministry of Sound. But yeah, just it feels a bit picky and choosy, and that's obviously in our industry.
Yeah, it's just, why would you give a loan that size to a online business? Basically, I know they have offices and they have, they do have kind of overhead costs that are like not just running the website, but when you compare those to like somewhere like the venues you said, these are venues that have DJs. Yeah, I'm going to say DJs first, because I know that DJs aren't actually publicized enough in the media. So, but DJs and bar staff, managers, and all the actual people that. How about the people that actually sell tickets at the front door? They're the ones without work. So,
the biggest supply chain. As well, the biggest supply chain, so you mentioned DJs, security, bar staff,
security.
Floor staff, reception staff, admin staff, all the stuff. There's also suppliers, because that alcohol doesn't just magically appear.
Mm-hmm.
And the suppliers have logistics companies they use to move the alcohol. So that's a delivery driver. It's all these people that are going without work as well, like further down the supply chain.
Yep.
And I don't know. I never wanted to use this word, and we've got nothing against resident advisor, by the way. I just think the way the government have done it is really bad, that bricks and mortar venue doesn't meet criteria, but a website that sells tickets for that venue does. And that's nothing against resident advisor. That's against the government for picking them. I never thought I'd use this word when it comes to like describing how I felt about the government, but I think disgusted, like not giving starving kids meals, telling people in the arts to retrain, and sort of just, we follow science and then not following science.
Yeah.
Plus all the stuff that's happening in care homes. And, for us, before we come off of this, I will just say, if you know anyone in hospitality, because they're going through it really hard, the arts, anyone that's affected by all the stuff that's happening with the government and the coronavirus, please check in with them, because we're all going through hard times. It's not easy being a performer or a creative in this industry. So make sure you check in with them, check they're okay. Maybe just, drop them a message. It does not hurt. And also, if you know anyone that owns a venue, a pub, and you fancy a drink or food or something, make sure you go to someone not just a big chain, because even the big chains are hit hard. So realistically, you can't do no wrong. But check in on your friends that are in the industries, because it's hard. Mm-hmm. Right, shall we move on to some lighter stuff? Because I'm going to say that same thing at the end anyway. So let's move on to some reviews. And as always, you can listen to all the tracks we talk about today between me and Chris and the missing Pav, even though he's not here. They are available on our Spotify playlist, No Drinks in the Booth, and the artist is No Drinks in the Booth, same name, and our YouTube playlist. And I would very highly suggest you check out the YouTube playlist for this week, because some of the videos are mental and are well worth seeing the video, not just listening to the track.
Yes.
Yeah, like realistically. Okay, we've got 14 tracks to get through today. I think that's doable since there's two of us. Okay, first one, Stefflon Don, is called Can't Let You Go. Chris, I'll come to you first because Pav is not here.
I absolutely love this track. I absolutely loved it. And I've written down on my notes here that I think it's like the sax came in at the start, and I was like, oh, that sounds a bit off. And then the beat came in, and then like those like keys, and then like her vocals. I just absolutely love this track. I played it a couple of times. So this one, I'm kicking it straight off. First track, 5 out of 5 drinks, straight up for me. Love this one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Stefflon Don, track's called Can't Let You Go. I completely agree on what you said when I heard the sax. I thought, and then it all started. I was like, this is really good. Yeah. I was listening to this this morning, and I think it's really catchy, really melodically catchy. Stefflon Don is very underrated in like the UK scene sometimes. I know we rate her very highly, but sometimes I think she goes under the radar, because this track bangs. I would play this in a set. I would listen to this in the car. I'd listen to it at the gym. It's like, it covers a lot of bases. I think this track will go far. I hope it does. And I am agreeing with you, and I gave it 5 drinks as well. First track, 5 drinks. Pav, if you was here, what would you say? Yeah, Pav said he likes it as well.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
Shout out to Pav. It's not the same without you. Okay, next track, One More Time, Notes, featuring AJ Tracey. Chris?
It was okay. It was good. I love AJ Tracey. His bars are cool. The melody was quite like static. I don't know. It didn't like do anything crazy for me. I really like the video. The video is really cool. The set they put together was awesome. So the track was good. It was a good track. So 3 out of 5 drinks for me.
Okay. Notes featuring AJ Tracey is called One More Time. I gave it 4. I really do like AJ Tracey, like you. I thought Notes was quite good on it, bearing in mind it's his track, should be. I really like the Scottie Pippen and Jordan line, which is why I got 4. Otherwise, it was like 3.5.
I think
I heard that line. It's in the second verse. I think it's second verse. I heard that line. I was like, it gets a 4. referencing Pippen and Jordan. Not if you're not into basketball, you might not know what they're on about.
I'm actually sure those people are. I was thinking, is it a basketable thing? Because
did you just say you don't know who Michael Jordan is?
Oh, sorry, Michael Jordan. I can hear what you're saying. Okay, yeah, Michael Jordan. Yeah. I know Michael Jordan is.
Basically.
Yeah.
He's his teammate. From the dynasty, the fantastic Chicago Bulls team that won all them championships. That dynasty. It gets 4 from me. I think it's a good track. The video's better than the music, unfortunately. Does that make sense? The video's really good. The song's not as good as the video, so that's a shame. But 4's solid. Okay, let's move on. Ty Dolla $ign featuring Jhené Aiko and Mustard. It's called Be Yourself. I will go first on this. I gave this a fat 5. Purely, I like the sample, the little sped up sample. I don't know what it is. I didn't look into it, to be completely honest. It sounds like a Mustard beat. Ty Dolla $ign sounds how you want to have Ty Dolla $ign to sound. Jhené Aiko's verse goes very hard. It's got all the ingredients to be quite a big club banger if the clubs are open. So, Chris?
Yeah, it's very Ty Dolla $ign, like his signature style, like his delivery and writing. It's pretty nice vibes. I gave it 3 out of 5 drinks.
Fair enough. Okay, moving on. The track is called Chingy, It's Whatever by Digga D. Chris, I'll let you go first on this one.
Yeah, I mean, you can't not watch this video and not get gassed. It's wicked video. And I love Digga D's energy. It was cool. I gave this one 3 out of 5 drinks. Okay,
Chingy, It's Whatever by Digga D. I gave it 4.
It could have been 4 for me. It was close.
We'll put it this way. I'm not a big fan of drill.
No.
Or that sort of sound. And I really like this track. So I was like, well, it's obviously better than average if I like it, because I'm not a big fan of stuff like that. I just think it goes hard. I was listening to it while I was running and I was like, this is banging. This is a good track, especially if you're running or lifting weights, I suppose. So it gets 4. It missed out on being a 5, most probably because I'm not into drill that much. Yeah. Which is my own fault, but some people it would be a 5. Okay, this is more your type of stuff, Chris. Next one, Hot Since 82 and Rudimental. The track is called Be Strong.
Yeah, wicked collaboration. Hot Since 82, amazing production. It was cool. I gave it 3 out of 5 drinks. It's definitely, I love the visuals as well that went along with the track. Although there wasn't a music video, the visuals that came along with it were cool. So big shouts to Rudimental and Hot Since 82.
Okay, Be Strong, Hot Since 82 and Rudimental, like we've just mentioned. I gave it a 4. I feel like everything this week is pretty high. It's very good quality music. Again, I was listening to it. Basically, I ain't gonna lie to you, the whole review section I listened to while I was running.
Nice.
So this song is mostly very fitting for something like that. I know it sounds stupid. I was running and I sort of closed my eyes for 1 second while listening to it. And I was just wishing to be in a Ministry of Sound or a 338. This coming through a big pumping system. And it's solid. The production on it's really crisp. So that's why it gets a 4. Okay. Let's go. Moving on. The track's called New Reality by Patrick Topping and Hayley Topping. Chris, I'll let you go with this one because these are your sort of things.
Yeah, when I first saw this, I think it was on Twitter, they were going to do a collaboration. I think that's his wife. I've not actually
I was going to ask you this because obviously I don't know. I didn't know if it was his wife or sister. I would assume it's his wife, but it could equally be his sister. I don't know.
I think I'm just going off of YouTube comments, by the way, but I think it's his wife.
Right.
And which is so cool. I love seeing that. Be Sharp Staying Out by Patrick Topping is actually one of my all-time favourite house records. Probably my top 20 records of all time. Genuinely, that track is unbelievable. This one just didn't really tick my box, if I'm being really honest. I just the vocal was a little out of tune for me. This would be amazing if you were basically mashed up, a rave or in your house flat, whatever, in the right zone.
If you're meshed up in a rave or your house or flat, whatever.
Well, I had to say house and flat now because that's the only place you can get mashed up in a minute. But yeah, I don't know. It just didn't quite tick my box, and I think I can imagine them like absolutely like buzzing basically when they like made the track and recorded it. But I don't know, maybe it's because I'm sober. I just didn't really like feel it as much as Patrick's other stuff. So yeah, 2 out of 5 drinks for me.
Really? Oh, wow. I gave it 4 again. New Reality, Patrick Topping and Hayley Topping. I was listening to it, the vocals cool, and I was like, this is good. Like, it gets like a 2 or 3, and then them stabs come in. And I was like, oh, and then like the more stabs come in, a little synth, and like the bass line's rolling. I'm sprinting as fast as I can go.
Yeah,
and I was like, do you know what? I feel like me being at the gym and running has influenced this review section, because it was a lot of the music was great for it. And I gave it a 4. The stab was what got me. It was like, I thought it was good, and it was them little stabs which I think make it like, that's the thing when you see it in a club and people are losing their minds to them little stabs. Like, that's what separates a good record from a great record, especially in the house music scene. So it gets 4 drinks from me. Okay, next one is Kojo Funds. The track is called Duppy. I'll go first on this. I gave it 3. I thought it was good. I don't know. It sounds like Kojo Funds. It was Kojo Funds. Is it as good as that Kojo Funds other stuff? I don't think it was. I feel like Kojo Funds set the bar so high so early on in his career. It's very hard to get back to that. It gets 3 drinks. There's nothing wrong with it. I didn't feel it. Chris?
Yeah, at the start of his career, he came out with some absolute records. And I prefer the more soulful Kojo. Like, I know this is like a little bit, you know, like the more like Fine Wine and My Nine, and, you know, even though My Nine's not like, the lyrics aren't really like soulful, but just like, yeah, the more like melodic side of his music. And that's what I feel like he kind of delivered to the scene when he first kind of emerged with those records. So I gave this one 3 out of 5 drinks. But I just miss that like more soulful Kojo.
Yeah, I could agree with that. Okay, moving on. One of my favourite duo of producers, Duck Sauce, and the track is called Mesmerize. I will go first on this. Funky is the word that I'll do it. Funky and groovy. I would highly recommend you check the video out, because it is mind-blowing.
Unbelievable.
Like, there's no drugs you could take to make a video like that. It is mental. Please check out the YouTube playlist for that video alone. I don't think it's as a hit as what they've had in the past, but it sounds stupid. They've got their hits and they've got very high quality music right below that, if that makes sense. They're standout hits, and then that. I gave it 5 because I think it's not a hit, but it's between the hit and the standout. Duck Sauce stuff is stupidly high quality, especially when you're making that groovy, funky, disco-y stuff. 5 massive drinks from me. Chris?
Yeah, obviously, you know, me and Wade are both big fans of Duck Sauce. And the thing is about this track, I actually really like the track. But the video just kind of like takes over like everything I think about the track. Like, I just can't get that video out of my head. Like, you were saying about how like something about, you know, on drugs it must be amazing. I felt like I was on drugs when I was watching it, and I was just
no. Well, I didn't say on drugs it must be amazing. To clarify, I said there's no amount of drugs you could take to make a video like that. Yeah, I don't want people to think like taking drugs is amazing. Each their own. Do your
thing. But yeah, I mean, I felt like I was on drugs when I was watching it. I mean, it's just the craziest video. And I'm not going to ruin it for you. You should definitely go and watch the video if you're listening. But yeah, it's about like towards like the last like minute of the video, like it just gets like a whole new level of weird. So yeah, I'm not going to say any more than that. Just go and watch it. To be honest, I'm just looking at my notes here for this week's podcast, and I didn't actually like write a rating down yet, because I'm just writing about how crazy the video is. Yeah, I mean, just because of like how nuts it is, I'm gonna have to give it 4 out of 5 drinks.
Please watch the video. It's available on our YouTube playlist, but watch it on a big screen TV. Maybe with your mum and dad. They'd love that.
Yeah, but maybe not like with the rest of the family in the room. Like,
no, yeah, don't let young kids or anyone of a heart condition.
Yeah.
moving on, the next track is called The Instruction. It's by Kid Echo. Chris.
Yeah, there was a record that Kid Echo put out, and the name escapes me now, but we talked about it a few weeks ago on the podcast, and it was like a really great summary house track, and I really loved it. So when Kid Echo puts that stuff out, I think he put one out on Toolroom called Give It Up, which was like last year, and I love that record. More summary. When he does those kind of records, I really love his music. So the record's great, but it's just what I like to hear from Kid Echo is that more happy kind of vibe, kind of summary, uplifting house music. So I gave this one 3 out of 5 drinks, but I'm just super eager to hear more of the kind of summary vein coming from Kid Echo in the future.
Yeah, The Instruction by Kid Echo, I was up between a 2 and a 3. I went with a 3. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just like, maybe it's because I can't be in a club or like a venue. It's as stupid. They've either got to be songs that make me want to be there, or songs that like this has to be played there for you to really enjoy it. And I think that's the case. Like, it's just one of them songs, like it would suit a big room or equally a sweaty little dark rave. It's just one of them that you listen to your headphones, you're like, yeah. But I don't know, that with like the Patrick Topping and Hot Since 82 tracks, there was like reminiscent of being in that club. With this, I need to make a memory to it first. I don't know why. There's nothing wrong with it. The production's tight. Kid Echo again has set a bar very high for himself, and I'm sure he can reach it again. This just gets 3 drinks from me. Okay, the next track Chris wanted featured, but it was going in there anyway. It is by Chunks and Young Philly, and it's called Hold. I will give my opinion, and Chris, you can run away after that with it. I gave it a 4. I was really impressed. I thought it didn't sound like YouTubers doing music, which is always a good thing. It's tight, the beat is good, the verses and the chorus are both well done. The verses are really good. And yeah, I don't know. It was solid. I'd play it and I'd listen to it. I wished it come out maybe 3 or 4 months ago and it's hot. That's my only criticism. Chris, did I just give it a rating?
Yeah, you gave it 4.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wasn't sure if I did. Okay, 4. Chris, all yours.
I mean, you've already touched on it, but me personally, whenever YouTubers start doing music, I'm super skeptical. I'm not really sure how it's going to turn out. But this one, I just came out of nowhere. I saw it on my feed and I was like, let's check it out. And it's such a surprise, and I absolutely loved it. So much so I put it in straight in the group chat, the No Drinks in the Booth group chat. Because I was just so impressed, and surprised. I absolutely love it. And the vocal, harmonies and the production and the video, it's just great. It's just fun. It's happy, and just really well put together. It was great. 4 out of 5 drinks. It was really cool. So big shouts to Chunks and Young Philly.
Not to use a pun, but it held its own. It actually did as a standalone track. Oh, but this is why we need Pav. I haven't got them. I haven't got them. Damn it. Okay, next track is Avengers. It's by Lowski. It features Popcorn. I'll go first on this one, I don't mind. I gave it 3. I didn't think Popcorn really brought much to it. I think it would have been better without him, and that's no offence to him because I actually really love his music. But I thought Lowski was really good on his own track, and when you see a good name like Popcorn, you think, going to be top quality. And it was just they'd obviously said it in the track, it was can you do something on this? He's yeah, there you go. It just didn't feel like he wanted to murder that track or really put his stamp on it. So yeah, it just gets 3 from me, which is a shame. I think without Popcorn, it reminds me got 4. But Chris, your thoughts on Avengers? Yeah,
it's a mad collab for Lowski, collaborating with Popcorn. That's cool to see. And when I was listening to the track, a couple of really cool bars kind of popped out from Lowski, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Which I kind of liked. So I gave it 3 out of 5 drinks.
Yeah, I think it was just, I don't know, maybe, I think we obviously agree, but we just expected more from a collab of that stature, because you wouldn't expect Lowski and Popcorn to link up. So now they have. You want it to be 5 drinks, and it just fell short, unfortunately. Okay, next track features Popcorn as well. It's called Murder. Supreme, who people would know from the song he did with Post Malone, which name I can't remember. It was the Tiesto remix. Chris, Jackie Chan, that's the one.
That's it.
With Post Malone, which got the Tiesto remix. It was a big hit a few summers ago. The track is called Murder. It's by Preem featuring Popcorn and French Montana. Chris?
Cool. It's a cool track. It didn't wow me in a crazy way, but the track's really cool. So yeah, big shouts to those guys. 3 out of 5 drinks for me.
I equally gave it 3 out of 5 drinks. I wanted a bit more from it. It's a really good track. So giving it 3, I feels like doing a bit of disjustice to it almost, like disservice. But it just, I don't know, again, you see the names and you get this assumption. So I just thought it'd be better. I feel like French Montana didn't really bring that much to it, and French can on tracks. So I don't know. Yeah, 3 drinks from me. Okay, 2 left. The track is by Kamal and it is called About the Party. Chris, I'll let you start with this one.
I absolutely love this track. It's something super fresh. I love how the track builds over the whole records, like adding vocal layers and all kinds of really cool layering. I played it twice. I sort of listened once, wow, that was so good. I'm gonna have to listen to it again. I love the topic as well. I don't know whether to give it a 4 or a 5. It's really, I really love this track. I'm gonna give it my second 5 out of 5 drinks for About the Party. Kamal, really enjoyed this. It was a good track.
Okay, I completely agreed with you. I saw it on the releases, and as I do every week, I go through the releases, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. And I heard it, and I was like, "Oh, this has got to go in the reviews." And equally, I listened to it. I listen to the releases quite a lot of times, obviously, because I pick them. And yeah, I gave it a 5 because I found myself wanting to listen to it, and then comparing some of the other tracks, going, "Well, it's not as good as that one." So yeah. I'm not going to repeat everything you said about it. The layering was really good though. But 5 drinks, which is my third 5 drink review today. That's good reviews. Okay, last track, Tebby Rex and Awkward Z. It's called Ah. Do you want me to go or do you want to go? I'll let you go.
Go on, mate, go on. Yeah, it must have been, for what I watched of the track, they've kind of managed to put together the super low budget video. It's just literally going around the bar, yeah, and I thought it was pretty cool. I gave it a 3 out of 5 drinks, this one.
Yeah, equally, Tebby Rex and Awkward Z, tracks all are. I gave it a 3. It's good. It is good. It just lacks sort of hitting that mark. I felt it sounds really silly. There's tracks I've give higher reviews to. I think this track is better than some of, not better, but it could be there. Do you know what I mean? It's just falling short. It's a really good track. And I actually, it sounds silly. I don't know these artists. First time I've heard of them, but it makes me want to listen to more of them and see what they've got coming out, which is why I sort of featured it, because I think 1, they're fresh and new. 2, they seem like they're up and coming. And 3, if this is one of their first tracks that's got sort of this sort of attention, I'd love to see what the new next sort of ones are.
Yeah, I like their kind of flow, and their style. It's that kind of slightly cheeky. Cheeky's I don't know the right word, but kind of playful, kind of slightly you listen to it and you're it's kind of slightly smiling when you listen, because it's got that kind of playful vibe with the rapping. So yeah, it's cool. I'm interested to see what they come out with. I like that.
Their whole vibe reminds me of, you might not remember him, Asher Roth.
No, I don't.
Rapper called Asher Roth. He had a track called I Love College, and it was about how much he loved college. And it was very sort of cheeky, tongue-in-cheek, sort of taking the mick out of stuff. Bit Little Dicky-esque.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and that's what I think. So, it sounds silly. I want to see more from them, so I hope they do more. But it got 3 out of 5 from me. Okay, that is all the tracks. Before we move on to track of the week, as always, you can listen to all the tracks from the No Drinks in the Booth playlist on Spotify. It's got the playlist, and the artist is the same name, No Drinks in the Booth. And I would really, really highly recommend you to check out the YouTube playlist of No Drinks in the Booth for these videos, just for the Duck Sauce Mesmerise one, but it's worth watching some of the others, especially if you're chilling indoors. And as always, please leave comments below. Tell us if you agree or disagree. Or alternatively, you can hit us up on social media, No Drinks in the Booth, on our Facebook page, Instagram and Twitter. I would personally say hit the Instagram up because we always check it. Okay, track of the week. It's hard because there's only two of us. I feel like I build it up. I really build it up, but it's like, here's ours. Okay, Chris, I'll let you go first. As always, I always go last.
It has to be, without a doubt, Can't Let You Go, Stefflon Don. There were some really strong tracks this week. As I said, off the podcast, I was like, wow, I love all the releases that have come through. But it has to be Can't Let You Go, Stefflon Don. I just love the whole thing. I love like the production, like the vocal melodies. I'm going to be listening to it like this week. That track. It's the one I'm going to go back to. So yeah, Can't Let You Go, Stefflon Don is my track of the week this week.
Wow. Okay. It's so hard because there's actually two that I really want, but
I bet
it's been a really good week for releases. Some weeks we have some really high rated releases, and some weeks we don't, and some weeks they're all sort of like averagey. It all depends on what comes out. But I'm torn between the Ty Dolla $ign, Be Yourself. I'm torn between three, to be completely honest. Mesmerised by Duck Sauce, because I'm a huge Duck Sauce fan, which I don't think is fair, really. And Kamal, About the Party.
That was my one as well. I was going to give that as like my special mention. Like that one was close for me.
I'm going to go with Kamal, About the Party, because Ty Dolla $ign gets enough publicity being Ty Dolla $ign. Duck Sauce, legendary, and they know that I'm their biggest fans. But I've not heard of any of Kamal's stuff before, and if this is the way I listen to it and get into him, what a track to do it on. So my track of the week is About the Party, Kamal. Chris's is Can't Let You Go by Stefflon Don. There's only two. I think because Pav's not here, we should, between us, pick a third, because normally there's three.
Ooh, okay, I like that.
Because it's only fair, because we normally do three, and this week there's two of us. It's not everyone's listening fault that there's two of us this week.
Well, for me, it's going to be between About the Party, Kamal, but I think Hole, Chunks and Young Philly, it just, because it's such a surprise, and it's such like, a great track, I think, from those guys. Like, I don't know, it's between those two for me. I'm not sure which one yet. What do you think?
So I was going to go with Ty Dolla $ign, Be Yourself, or Duck Sauce, Mesmerised, because they were the other two. But I will rule Duck Sauce. I will rule Duck Sauce out because I'm a huge fan. So that's that
everyone
makes
knows
it
we
unfair.
love Duck Sauce. Like, we're big fans of Duck Sauce. We love Duck Sauce.
I don't know. The Ty Dolla $ign track, I think, is better than the Hold by Chunks and Young Philly.
Yeah, I don't know. The Ty Dolla $ign one, it didn't make me go like crazy. Like, it was very like Ty Dolla $ign, and it was cool, but it didn't like make me go crazy.
Do you know what?
The others did.
I will agree with you and put Hold by Chunks and Young Philly in, purely because they've made a track that doesn't sound like YouTubers making a track.
Yeah, that's the key with it. That's the key.
I feel like obviously it's hard being an artist, but it must be even harder being a YouTuber trying to be an artist because you've got this stigma attached to you. So then our third No Drinks in the Booth collective track of the week, because we are missing Midland's finest Pav, would be Hold by Chunks and Young Philly.
Yeah.
Pav will not agree with it.
Really? He might do.
I don't think it. No, I don't think
he said, because we actually put in our group chat.
We spoke
talked about it, and Pav was like, "No, he wasn't feeling it." I can say that. He wasn't feeling it too much.
So we should definitely advertise this as Pav's track of the week. So Pav's track of the week this week is Hold by Chunks and Young Philly. If it had B Young in it would have been his track of the week from the very start. But okay, just to quickly go over, you picked Can't Let You Go by Stefflon Don.
Mm-hmm.
I picked About the Party by Kamal, and collectively, because we are missing the legend that is Pavan Saki, we picked Hold by Chunks and Young Philly. And as I said, you can check out all the tracks on Spotify and YouTube playlists. No Drinks in the Booth, as always. Well, that is the news. That is the reviews. That's me done for today. Thanks, guys, for having me. See you later. Thanks, Chris. You can take over, you and... Oh, no, it's just me and you. Okay. Okay, should we move on to like our main focus, our topic today?
Let's do it.
Okay, today we're talking about regional differences, i.e. as we keep seeing in the news, the north-south divide. But obviously that's a bit bigger. It's not just north and south. There's the Midlands, there's Wales, there's Scotland, there's Ireland, there's every region under the UK umbrella. And we're talking about the differences in musical taste in terms of what we play in the clubs and partly to what people listen to, really. I think we've got a good little argument, really. Not argument, a good little debate, because you have played in the Midlands. I haven't. I've always been more London and Essex based, so I'm more down the south. I've played in I've played in Norwich a couple of times, but that's not the Midlands. So I think we've got a good little sort of debate to say, like, I will flat out say straight away, one thing I'll realise with London, bar the touristy areas where you're playing as if you're a Spanish holiday camp, the cooler side of London, it's very more R&B and hip hop influenced. As in, I don't think that's the same where you play sort of like Midlands way.
Yeah. I think so. I think I've played quite a lot in Birmingham. You know, for quite a few years now, and Birmingham kind of a little bit less so than London, but there's definitely a lot of R&B and hip hop. But Birmingham, I'm sure we're going to get into it more, but it's actually a lot more diverse than what perhaps you would have thought if you don't live in Birmingham. There's a load of different music going on there. Like literally, if you want to find it, you can find it, like rock, house, dance, electronic, hip hop, rap, reggae, literally anything you want. Which for me, for someone who wasn't born in Birmingham, like going there, didn't expect that, and it's great. But yeah, just coming back to Birmingham's good to talk about because it's like the second biggest city in the UK, and it's good to talk about. But London
and Chris has experience there, so that helps.
Yeah. But yeah, London. Well, I think you've done quite a few more gigs in London than I have, but I've played there quite a bit, and yeah, it's definitely more hip hop and R&B, and then kind of just like pop as well. Obviously, like the more like touristy kind of places, like it's just
I'd break London up into 3 groups, maybe, or 4 groups. You got your commercial, want to listen to what everywhere else wants to listen to, like a bit of everything. Commercial dance, hip hop, R&B, pop, the melting pot of music. Then you've got like your party place where you're playing like a Spanish tour holiday operator. Like, it's proper, like cheese it up. Danza Kuduro gets played a lot. And then you've got 2 sides really of London, R&B, hip hop, side, including the UK side of it. And then the house and dance scene equally, because they're both very strong in London. There's less in the middle of that. Like, I listen to everything.
But if you want to find it, I mean, obviously London's one of the capitals of the world. I mean, you can kind of find it.
Oh, it's easy to,
if you want to.
It's very easy to find. It's easier to find a cool rave or a cool hip hop R&B sort of event. It's quite easy to do that. The ones in the middle, because you just go to the chains because that's what they play, because that's like the blanket music policy. Essex is a little bit different. Essex, from my experience, and I've played there for a long time because I'm old now, is a melting pot of, we want the cool London stuff, give us the cool London hip hop and house, but we also want to hear the number 1 song in the chart.
Yeah, that's what it is.
They want the cool stuff, but they sort of deep down, they don't want to say it. They want the poppy stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I'd agree with that.
But bassline and drum and bass obviously does have a scene in London, but bassline, especially, is one of the ones I want to talk about, isn't really big in London, Essex. Essex is like, doesn't really exist. Not commercially.
I think definitely in up north and in the Midlands, obviously we're not talking about like Wales or anything yet. I have played in Wales a few times, weirdly.
Really?
They were like, when I did my kind of bassline UK bass music collaboration, Guerrilla Culture, we did a few places in Wales, which was cool. And and Wales, they're very like electronic minded in Wales. And I know this from actually going to uni with a couple of people from Wales as well, like, you know, big music fans, you know, not just, you know, people that aren't into music. And they were like, yeah, drum and bass is huge, house music, electronic music, I think, has more of a presence in my opinion, than in other parts of the UK. So going back to my point before that though, which was the North and then the Midlands, something you don't really find too much in London. I mean, there is in London. As I said, you can find anything in London. London's like, you know, cultural sort of melting pot. But more like in the Essex areas and the southeast and the south of the country, you kind of don't see a lot of like more bassline, harder electronic music, drum and bass. Mm-hmm. It kind of comes in like the Midlands and up and the North, which is interesting. I've noticed that, I mean, it's going to be super interesting to see what happens in 2021. But last thing I'll say is with like house music, you know, I grew up listening to house music primarily. And, you know, so it's big in Essex. And it's kind of really big up north. House music you can find it. You can find house music still, even in 2020. You can find it in quite a lot of places, which I find quite interesting. I think that's just kind of like the lasting impact of clubbing in like the mid to late 90s, early 2000s, that kind of explosion of kind of, house, kind of bits of trance. Obviously that was more in like the 90s, but just that house, four to the floor kind of rhythm beat, you know, and it's still in the charts. It still pops up every now and again in the charts. It's interesting because you can find that in a lot of places I've DJ'd and been to. Which is an interesting point. I'm not sure what you think about that, Wade, whether you agree or...
I completely agree. I'm going to tell a little story about a gig I did just because it will basically sum up what we're talking about a little bit. So I did a gig, a few years back in Norwich. It was a student night and the club, which isn't there anymore, and I know why it isn't there, because they bankrupted themselves. Literally, honestly, you'll understand once I get into this story. They bankrupted themselves. So I did the student night, big main room student night. And in Norwich, they just wanted to hear big bassline sounds mixed in with indie. That's what they went mental for, with a bit of hip hop. And I'm talking like the obvious hip hop, the old school DMX Party Up, Little John Get Low type hip hop, party hip hop. And I had a really good night, really fun. So I was talking to the general manager after I did my set and stuff, and really nice guy, was chatting away and that. And I said, what else have you got going on? And he took me into the office and said, look, I'll show you that. And it was literally, they had a big whiteboard on the wall and obviously calendared so you could see the dates. And so I played a Wednesday, and on the Thursday, the next day, they had Arctic Monkeys. I know. The Friday, they had,
that's cool.
They had the Klaxons DJ set.
Mad.
The Saturday, the following Thursday, they had the Kooks, and then the Friday they had like the Rhythmics. Do you remember the Rhythmics?
Yeah.
DJ set and like PA. So they had these big sort of indie pop band. They had LaRue perform there and everything. Like LaRue was the following week. I was looking at it thinking, why have you booked me? Like, these are like huge names, huge names.
Yeah.
And equally, I found out sort of like a year later, I did a couple more bookings there, but every time I was there and talked to a manager, he would basically say, it's busy, but we're just not making the money. Like, just not making the money. And every time he was getting like more like, we're really struggling, but still with big, huge bookings. And it's because they were paying obviously like 30, 40 grand to have like the Arctic Monkeys, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. But equally still selling like £1 drinks. So they wasn't making much.
People going to the gigs. Great for those people.
It was fantastic. But the only problem was it was the only club in Norwich at the time. Right. So then when it shut down, these people had nowhere to go to. I think there was one like maybe a Slug and Lettuce or something like that, but like it was the only proper club.
Mad.
And that just really highlighted the difference in music because it was packed out. Obviously went bankrupt, unfortunately, because they had a good plan, but they didn't have the money.
Yeah. It's cool to see venues like that. It's cool to see venues like that, definitely.
It really showed, how indie pop and sort of that electro sort of type sound was big there. But then I'd come back to Essex and do a gig and I'm playing an hour of basically DJ Mustard beats. But I play them up there, did not work at all. But then as soon as I drop a bit of LaRue, they all went mental.
Yeah. I think literally it changes even kind of town by town, like literally, half an hour down the road. I think, and I find it super interesting how like music changes, like the mainstream music, what kind of the majority of people are into. It's just super interesting because you can go to new places and this particular kind of style is bigger than something else. Even like down to playing in Birmingham, they like different house music to what they like in like Essex and London. Like it's a different kind of style. Obviously we're really kind of getting to genres now, but it's more like minimal house kind of vibes as opposed to like disco, which is kind of like, amongst other things, quite popular, like in Essex and London and stuff. And I just find that stuff like super interesting. So when you go to like somewhere like Norwich, which I've actually not played in Norwich, but you can see that's like a movement that's kind of worked there because the people are there for it. But that would not work elsewhere. There's plenty of places I've played where that kind of venue they'd have no interest in that venue at all.
100%.
But yeah, definitely, I love it. It kind of spices things up when you kind of like come into contact with those kind of venues and stuff like that. It's cool.
I'd love to see like the analytics of, a Hot Since 82 Be Strong and, I don't know, I'm looking down the list, Hold by Chunks and Young Philly and maybe, what's a hip hop one we've got on here? Murder Preem. I'd love to see like the analytics of them throughout the country and how they would do, because obviously the way like people listen to stuff in different parts of the country and what they listen to is influenced by surroundings and people and X, Y, and Z. But, these big labels and agencies push certain sounds and obviously, commercial records out to the public in general, but they tend to like do sometimes better in different regions for no apparent reason.
Yeah. Super interesting. One of my favorite things to do is go on Spotify and look at an artist and see where their monthly listeners are, which you do by clicking the About tab.
Yeah.
When you're looking at an artist. And just seeing like what their top 5 cities are. I find that so interesting just to see. And also I think for like certain music, and this is not the same for all music, but certain kind of artists and music and stuff that comes out, it's good to like link it with a city and like where they're from. It kind of, one that comes to mind straight away, if you think about what's happened with like UK hip hop over the last like 5 to 6 years, London, everything's been associated with London.
Yeah.
For the most part, with some exceptions. And obviously that's kind of great because it kind of like grounds it and it gives it like a great backstory and makes it a lot more like tangible to like people listening around the country. Even if you live in a village in Yorkshire somewhere, like you can still like check the videos and see that these are people like, in just living in London, like putting music that inspires them out. It's a London thing, and then, but same with also like, if you're like a band and you come from like a small little town and like, you just sort of like shout out your kind of like area and stuff. It's really cool to do that. And I think for me, when I'm like checking out an artist and what they're doing, and like, a track like catches my attention and then check out the backstory. It's great when you see that you can see the story behind what made that music sound the way it does, like where they're from and that their kind of like angle, on things. So, I think it's super interesting.
Joe, what, like, it's equally, it ties into what we're saying. So I have a residency in Brentwood. Don't know if I've still got it because, with coronavirus and all that, but who knows? But I've played in Brentwood for about 6 years, which is predominantly, for people that are listening that are not in Essex, the home of Towie. The Only Way is Essex, the reality show, RTVB. And I'll never forget, obviously, a lot of them come into where I play purely because they live near and it's somewhere that people drink and listen to music, like it's that place. So they come like just normal, obviously they're normal people. But then when I do, so what was quite funny, when that whole The Only Way is Essex thing took off, I had this gig. And then when I played at other towns and people knew that I played in Brentwood, they'd ask me, do you see blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah. And they're like, oh my God. But they'd only live like half hour away. So it just shows that, like, this is relating back to music, is that something not so far away, people like think is a big deal, but people of Brentwood didn't care. They couldn't stand them. Like, they was just like, oh, it's blah, blah, blah from Towie, who cares? Because they're so like used to it. Like, you become numb to it almost. And I think music is the same. That, like, maybe it's me, I was born in London, raised sort of like in between London and Essex, and live in Essex. London music, to a degree, especially like the drill and the grime stuff, some of it just washes straight over me because I was born with it. As in, I've seen it, you know, in different areas of the country, how people will think like, I don't know, this is no disrespect, so I'm a big fan of Skepta, but they will think a Skepta track is like the coolest track ever, or like the most banging track. And it just was in one ear out the other because I was so accustomed to hearing like Boy Better Know and stuff like that. Like grime, to be honest with you, grime for ages, I was never into grime because I knew the people, I knew where they recorded it. Like, I've become numb to it. And equally, I've got a feeling it's mostly like that in different parts of the country with other styles of music.
Yeah.
You know,
some of, being born and growing up in Chelmsford, which is, you know, really close to London, about half an hour away. So all that kind of music, as I've said on the podcast before, like when we talk about like UK hip hop and stuff like that, that was just kind of, and still is, like all my friends who live around here, that's what they listen to, amongst other things, some of them, depending on what they're into. But, you know, that's like a trend. Like, we used to listen to like Skepta and still do. It's just like normal. Like, that is like the music. And then like some of my friends that I went to, and they're from like the Oxford countryside, you know, or like, you know, Wiltshire or whatever, you know, they don't get it at all. Like, they don't understand that music. It's like another world away, you know. It's like they can't understand it at all. Which I love that. I find it super interesting. And, but really, London's only like 2 hours away from some of these people. But it's just like where, you know, what their like area, obviously they've just not, it's not normal to hear the latest Skepta record or hear the latest like Heady One album and understand it, because it's just quite far removed from what they kind of grew up with and the people that they grew up with are like, you know. So yeah, it's super, super interesting. But I think, just coming to my head now, what's happened with kind of social media and the internet and phones and accessibility through technology over the last like few years, then I do think, you know, you can have movements of music that are inspired by other movements of music several hours away or further away, and it can be done like authentically because they really can get a grasp of like what has happened, and like the music is there in front of them. If someone in like Milton Keynes wants to do like a grime album, like grime is easily accessible now. You don't have to be in London to understand grime. You can get it right from when you first get your first phone at like, you know, 12 years old. You can sort of access it straight away and understand it properly, I think, by looking at all the stuff on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, reading about the history of it, listening to the top records, you know. And they can, you know, it's easier to get a grasp of these genres that before were like, you know, say like 15, 20 years ago, were a long way away from you. You know, you had to be there, you had to be around it to understand it. Which is cool. I think that's a cool thing that's happening to music. Definitely.
I think the internet definitely connected people. We're talking just UK really, but regionally connected people over here. I think obviously it connected everyone worldwide, but the more sort of important thing in terms of music wasn't just the internet. It was Spotify, it was Apple Music, the streaming services, Tidal, SoundCloud, streaming service technically, all these sort of services accompanied by stuff like YouTube. So if you like, I quite like the sound of that, then you'd watch the video and you see it, and then you'd find out more about the artist. Exactly what you said. But you couldn't do that 20 years ago. It just, you hear it on the radio, or you might see the release in HMV or a record store or something. But like now, everyone's connected. It's a big web. I think people connect with stuff more regionally, purely sometimes by sound. Like, I remember the first time I heard dubstep. It was made not far away from me, but like where it originated from. But I remember the first time I lost my mind. But then dubstep, maybe like, for example, Wales just never really got there. But then in London at one point, it was like the sound, and it was a very harsh sound. And I do think that, now when you look back at some of the little subgenres of music, dubstep, bassline, you class as one, tech house, like all these little genres that are strong in themselves, even like 4x4 garage, stuff like that. You look back at it and you think, "Gore, how did I not hear some of this stuff? And like, why did I not hear it?" And you look and it's because of the lack of technology. As a podcast, we're quite technologically forward, I'd say. Like, we like technology because we just do. But you don't realise how much it impacts sort of like your life in terms of just music. Because without it, we wouldn't be able to talk about regional differences because we wouldn't know them. We wouldn't be able to do a podcast really. But it's just, like, I don't know about you, but it just blows my mind sometimes when you think about it that way. And some of the people that listen to us most probably weren't born before the internet. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't. I grew up on the internet, but I grew up on dial-up, so it weren't like it is now. I just think it's mental how regionally we're all very different, but all exactly the same. We're regionally very different, but now when it's going to change, potentially, I think, change that in the next sort of like 10 to 15 years, because it's already happened to a certain extent where, people in far-flung places of like the UK can pick up sounds that they, without the internet, would never ever ever in their life have heard. So it's just gonna start like shaping new sounds, and it's just exciting, especially for like promoting music as well. Like, you can kind of now, whatever kind of music like you're making, or even if you're a DJ, actually, whether you're kind of DJing and whatever your vibe is, there's always going to be people that you can find through the internet that are going to like what you're doing. And it's super accessible now. If I want to listen, one thing, this is what blows my mind. If I want to find any song right now, say like you said, stopwatch going, like you've got to find a particular song right now, like any song right now. I'll tell you the name, you got to find it. Like, I can get it up on my phone and listening to it in high quality in literally 15 seconds if I wanted to, because I can just go on like Google it, YouTube, Spotify. There's so many options. Literally 15 seconds, I can get any song up, which, if you think about it, we're used to that now. But 15 or 20 years ago, you had to go to HMV and buy a CD. You had to, and then take it back. It was a process. It was a time. Now, instantly, I can get any song I want. So that's just going to make like music just super accessible for people that may never have heard certain sounds. It's just exciting stuff. Well, it's like, this shows my age a little bit, even though I'm only 22. So when I was in secondary
21, Wade.
Yeah, same difference. When I was at secondary school, this does show my age a little bit. So me and my best friend at secondary school, huge hip hop heads. That's how we basically become friends. And one of my favourite artists equally was his, Lil Wayne, and he had the Carter series. And I think DMX had just brought out a new album as that. And so we wanted to like fill our collections because we was building a collection of hip hop music we loved. So we separately at the weekend would go to HMV or a record store and buy the CDs and then copy them onto our laptops and put them onto your MP3 plus. You can listen to them. And then on Monday, go into school and give each other the CDs we'd bought to swap, to burn them, so that we could copy them. And then by the end of the week, swap them back. So then I would buy the Carter one, he'd buy the Carter two. We'd swap it. So we both had it, which nice. I think is actually illegal. But, you know, I don't feel like they're going to come after me for it. I was a kid. But that was sort of the only way to sort of access some music, because we couldn't afford to buy, you know, the brand new DMX and the brand new Locks and the brand new Jadakiss and the brand new Lil Wayne and da-da-da. Like, you couldn't afford all that because CDs were like a tenner a pop. I'm a kid, like in secondary school without a job. Like, and that was how we shared music. And equally, he used to share his music with his cousin in Northern Ireland. And that's how his cousin found out about the Lil Wayne Carter series. Like, it was like 6 degrees of separation almost. But mental to think now, we do it in our group chat. We're like, have you heard this song? We literally just send it to each other.
Instantly. Yeah.
Instantly. Cool. And there's playlists that have definitely changed the way people consume music.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's just super accessible now. Everything's just instant, which I think is great. I mean, anything you want to find, you just got it. Like, you know, and then you can just consume more. Like, you know, I mean, I listen to, if I had the music that I listen to, even on a daily basis, if I had to find CDs for all of the music I listen to on a daily basis, weeks, like one day would probably take a week to get all those tracks and buy all the CDs and collate them all, you know?
Yep.
So yeah, it's the future. It's exciting.
Can we agree on one thing?
Go on.
That, because you've played in Essex, so have I for a long time, that Essex can be one of the hardest places to play because they want everything. And they want the cool stuff, the not cool stuff, but not that stuff, but the other non-cool stuff. Like, it can be hard work.
Yeah. I mean, you definitely summed it up earlier where, you know, my experience of Essex, like, they want like the cool stuff. And then you can kind of, like, I definitely want that and then mix them with a bit of pop, but you have to kind of drop the less cool stuff in a cool way. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. You do.
That's how you do it. You know, and yeah, it's a challenge, but that's one thing I would say that I do like about Essex is that they're very, in my opinion, you know, I don't know what the right word is. It's not like articulate. That's the wrong word. But it's like they know when something's cool or not. Like, they have an opinion on what's cool, and they know their music and culture and all the rest of it, like, very well. Even if they're not really music fans, they know, you know, what's cool and what's not, and, you know, this kind of thing, which, you know, they're like an educated crowd, an intelligent crowd in that sense. I do like that about Essex, you know, like, they know what's up, which I found in other parts of the country. Like, they don't, in a lot of places, they don't, it's not as, they're not as picky. Like, they just sort of like, just accept it. Like, if you play something or something is like in their face. Whereas, in Essex, I've noticed that the crowd, even if they're not music fans, they are an intelligent crowd. They know what's popular and they know what's cool and what's not, and whether something's good or not, you know? Yeah. Which is cool. That's what I'd say.
Not the whole of Essex, parts of Essex. It's like everywhere. One thing I remember, so I put out a mix on SoundCloud, like 2-3 years ago, quite old now. It was like a really moody, because I like that, like, house mix. And I just put it out for myself. I actually didn't think people would like it. And people did like it, but nowhere around here, my biggest, like, listens were Wales. Like, nice. I was going off in Wales in people's parties or something, but round here did terrible. Like, people were like, oh, hate that, it's really moody. But the numbers were good. I did good numbers, but they were all from Wales. So shout out to all my Welsh people that listened to that mix. Thanks very much. But it just blew my mind that people in Wales really loved it, but people around here just couldn't stand it. We're just like, yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
And it just shows the power of the internet in obviously our industry.
The music I've released so far, like over my life, like you can look back on Spotify and like through like music distributors and see what your like analytics are for all your music you put out. And my top 5 cities where I'm like the most popular, my top 5 cities are all in Germany.
Yeah.
I'm the biggest, I'm my most popular, the city in the world where my music is received the best is Frankfurt. So there you go. That's the internet for you. Like that's what I'm making music for.
Speaking of your music, because we'll wrap this up really sort of soon. Well, we're just going forever otherwise.
I know, we do.
I thought you could plug, because you've got a new video out. So this is a podcast you're part of, so you might as well plug it.
Yeah. No, well, check out my TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. Done a few videos, like just doing some remixes of like popular tracks in like my style, really. Got some keys in there, some drumming, and basically me in my little sort of home studio, just sort of like breaking down these tracks and just kind of building like a track around it. So yeah, check them out if you're listening. Check it out on Instagram, TikTok, or Twitter, and let me know what you think. Slide in the DMs, give me some feedback. Because
Chris did a remix of Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion WAP, and equally you did a remix which you released yesterday, day before, which was Mood by
T4K Golden,
2-4-K Golden and Ian Dior. I like the WAP one better.
Oh, he's saying it here on the podcast.
I like the WAP one better. Yeah. I thought you was gonna, the guitar riff. The riff in Mood. I thought you was going to use the riff.
Yeah, do you know, it's tricky.
Or replay the riff.
Yeah, because I'm kind of like sampling these records, so it's difficult to get like the individual parts. Like I can get like the
it's trying to get the stems and stuff.
Yeah, it's real hard to get stems of tracks.
Don't wrong. The Mood one, you should check it out. It is good. I just thought you was going to use the riff. But equally, my girlfriend listened to both of them. And she said, no offense, Chris, she liked the WAP one, but she said to me, she went, I don't get the difference in the Mood one. It just sounds like the original track. Just did not get it.
I think it's
straight over her head.
Oh, fair enough. I think it sounds pretty different. I mean,
I did.
I would have thought, I don't know, maybe I need to make it more different. Maybe I need to make it even more crazy. I don't know.
Why don't you do a trap remix? Yeah, do that.
Yeah, but that's what's the point? It's basically that then it would be like the same track pretty much. But yeah, no, please check them out if you're listening. Check it.
They are very good, and they are different to the original tracks. My girlfriend obviously just briefly listened to them. The WAP one, she liked that. She just went, I can't tell the difference, and was like, next TikTok.
Oh my God.
She's a TikTok addict.
Yeah, do you know, I've been loving TikTok, to be fair. It's good fun. Honestly, putting these videos together, they're a lot of fun. I actually really enjoy doing it. Like, a lot of fun just like making these videos. And yeah, TikTok's cool. I was like unsure at first when it like first became popular, but now I'm feeling it. It's just so funny. Like, and also
I'm not on TikTok.
Honestly, like you should check it, man. Like, it's cool. The thing is, it's just I like it because I really enjoy social media, and it's a lot less miserable than like Twitter.
Yeah.
Or, like even Instagram sometimes. Like, it's just so much less miserable. It's like just funny, like just funny stuff. Like, I've actually like laughed out loud at a lot of TikToks. They're just funny. Like, it's cool.
I've watched TikToks. I just don't have TikTok because I think I'd find myself just in that wormhole of just watching TikToks and not doing stuff that I need to do.
I've done that a few
times. But I have seen TikToks and they are quite funny. But should we wrap things up? Because we could sit here talking about TikTok forever. So do you have anything you want to say to anyone?
Yeah. Anything I say is, as you said earlier in the podcast, anyone in hospitality, give them a shout, check in. It's not, although it's on the news and you feel like it might not affect you, but it's like an actual thing that's happening. Like, not just hospitality, but like several industries, including hospitality, are struggling right now. Like, they're literally like basically, I don't even know what the right word is. They're not imploding, but they're like collapsing. Basically, there's actually no way around it. Like they are literally collapsing. To be fair, there's actually no way around it now. Imploding is not the right word because like it is not definitely the opposite of imploding. Like it's not caused by internal things. It is the virus that's happening right now. But the government, it's up for debate. Are they doing the right thing? A lot of people don't think they are, and a lot of these industries are collapsing. So anyone in industries affected by this, give them a shout. Yeah,
like Chris said, anyone affected by any industries affected by our government's lack of support due to coronavirus, make sure you give them a shout, make sure you check on them, and equally if they have a venue or a pub or a restaurant or something that you can go to, make sure you support them as well as the big chains that also need your help as well. But it doesn't hurt to just drop a text, drop a DM, comment, whatever it may be, and see they're okay, because everyone is going through it, especially people in hospitality, nightlife, arts, the list goes on, so please make sure you check in on your friends. But as always, thank you for listening. Make sure you check us out. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You're most probably watching us on YouTube. So like, subscribe and share. Leave us a 5-star review on the Apple Podcast and Spotify. Check out the playlist on Spotify, No Drinks in the Booth, by the same name as the artist, No Drinks in the Booth, and the YouTube playlist, which I highly, highly recommend this week because there's some great videos in there. Make sure you hit us up on social media, No Drinks in the Booth. Instagram is the best way to contact us because we always check it and post stuff. So if you agree, disagree, make sure you hit us up with everything we've said today. We'll be back next week with Pav, hopefully. Three Musketeers back again. Because it's just not the same, is it? It's not the same without Pav.
Listen, we need some hate on Be Young and just various artists that upset him. Like we need some hate. Yeah. We're too nice. We're too nice.
Yeah, and just that random, like he just come in with a random joke when we're not talking about it. I miss that. It's not the same. It's not the same trying to just control you as it is when they're trying to control you and Pav like kids.
Yeah, we do like hate each other on, to be fair. I'm not that difficult to control, but when me and Pav are together, unfortunately, I can't wait to be told off again by Wade next week when me and Pav start talking about rubbish.
Exactly, but just to basically leave it at that, Pav, we'll see you next week. We miss you. It's not the same. And to everyone listening, thank you very much. That's enough from me and from Chris. Peace.